Here's his numbers on the night: 30 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks, hit 3 threes, doing everything. How impressive was Cooper's performance to you?
I thought that was awesome, and that was Anthony Davis-esque at Kentucky. Now, not the way he played, because AD, it's not that he never scored 30, but he wasn't that type. They're very different types of players, but where it's like, oh, you have a guy who already would be a good NBA player playing against college players and looking like it. And one of the reasons the NCAA tournament is great is the upsets and the storylines, but the other one is it gives you a chance to see, wait, which guys play their best in the biggest spots. And so for him to have, by any real metric, the second best game of his career, he had a game against Wake right after New Year's that was out of this world. So in that spot, against a very live Arizona team with Caleb Love, who's like, I've beaten Duke, I can beat Duke, and scored 35 of his own, to me was super meaningful. And seeing the different ways he can impact a game. I thought his passing was...
Yeah, no-look passes.
Right. I thought that was spectacular. I also thought that his play right before the half, when it was, if people weren't watching, it's a tie game. Duke hits a 3, they get a stop, and then he hits, a Josh Giddey shot almost right before the half. And his reaction to it, because he's kind of an understated celebrator, if you will, but in that moment the emotions were there. It's not that I wasn't a believer before, but this to me was him putting his stamp on his freshman season. I thought it was great.
No, he's phenomenal. I mean, he really is. And, a lot of the greats we've seen haven't had, great tournament. Like Kevin Durant didn't have a bad tournament, but, his team went out fairly early. Yep. Now, granted, he wasn't at Duke. He wasn't surrounded by this type of talent. But, some people have said this is the best college game they've seen. There are guys, you mentioned Anthony Davis.
What do you mean the best college game they've seen?
They've seen a guy play in college, I was going to say, that's way too Carmelo had 33 in the Final Four game against Texas and 14 rebounds. So, but like you said, Nick, he emptied his entire bag. Like, there's nothing really he can't do. We mentioned the no-look passes, some great alley-oops he threw, can hit the mid-range, can post, can hit the 3. Was playing point guard. Not only pushing the ball sometimes in the break, bringing the ball up against the press, but back in when he had to, when they tried to pressure him, he's handling the ball with his back to the defender. Like, he can do it all. I can't wait to see him in college. And I'll say this, like, it's not just him that makes Duke the favorite. They got, we mentioned the other two lottery picks.
And Malawach.
I told Greg Jennings this guy, Sion James, and he's a senior. So people probably overlooking him. I think he's a pro. Not a great pro, not a first-round pick even, but I think he's a guy, he's strong, he can shoot. I can see him being a 3-and-D guy in the league who's just a solid, P.J. Tucker type guy. And so that's what they have, the experience and the great individual player, and then some other guys who I think you aren't even seeing how great Malawach can become, and maybe Knipple. It'll be.
But those 3 guys combined for 63, and you saw their 3 pros, their 3 lottery picks really put their imprint on the game, and still Cooper was head and shoulders the best player on the court, and
he does it within the flow, like he doesn't force it, and that's some people have look down on him because they say, he ain't really push forcing the issue. He got 30, what do you have, 33 or whatever? 30 points within the flow of the offense with great teammates. And that's I'm not comparing him to Michael Jordan, but Jordan played within the flow and the structure at North Carolina, and that's what this kid is.
So this is an interesting comp that Josh has. You talk about a team stacked with players. 30 points and 3 blocks by a freshman in a tournament game. It's just Cooper Flagg and C. Webb. I thought that was an interesting one.
And C. Webb doing it against a way overmatched, I think that's Eastern Tennessee State. The defensive impact and the strength as a 19-year-old and the fact that he's a true 6'9", all of that are the reasons why people are elevating him the way they did as far as best prospect other than Wemby since Anthony Davis. Best American-born prospect, I guess, is what people have been saying since Anthony Davis. I have trouble separating in my brain what guys turned into in the NBA versus what type of prospects they were. I don't feel as confident about him being a superstar in the league as I did Zion, but Zion has not, you know what I mean? And when people talk about great tournaments, Zion had some unbelievable, you know what I mean, performances. He hasn't quite popped the way we thought he was going to.
And mainly for Zion, it's the injuries.
And weight.
However, this kid's game is better than Zion's.
Yes.
Zion's was explosive. It was powerful. This guy's much smarter player, more well-rounded, skilled. Like, he's got stuff Zion doesn't have. And he looks tremendous.
All right, at the same time, Coach Cal's Razorbacks are headed back to Arkansas after Texas Tech sliced into their 16-point second-half lead to win 85-83. Arkansas was a 10 seed and underdogs, but this loss still stung, especially since Coach Cal was on the Bud list, You're expecting something. Is this loss on Calipari?
You better believe I was feeling good early. I mean, I thought, the Bud list strikes again. I'm not going to blame – you can't blame Cal. I mean, it's a 10th seed losing to a 3 seed. So, great season by him, no question about it. But when you're up 13 with 4.5 minutes left, you figure you should win.
Especially in college.
Yeah.
Right.
Long shot
but
clock.
if you look at – it was weird because – and you have to credit Texas Tech. I don't believe they had made a three-pointer in the second half. And I think it was like 0 for 11 or something like that. And then they hit 4 in the final 4.5 minutes. And then hit another one in overtime. So they just got inexplicably hot. Now, Arkansas did make some bad plays. You can argue they could have called timeout like at the end instead of letting DJ Wagner just go for it. I'm not going to kill Cal for that. I just thought some of their players rushed some shots, maybe took some bad shots, but I'm not going to put this all on him. He deserves some of the blame. They all do collectively, but I'm not just going to kill him. Like some of the other things in the past, you could point
in
to.
In the past, he had the better teams.
True.
Not all, but he usually had the better teams. Now, I might put a little bit on my dear friend from 20 years, Adam Lefkoe, who put the ultimate announcer jinx on him at halftime. At halftime, Arkansas was up 7 or 8, and Lefkoe dropped this stat, which was remarkable. John Calipari has had a 6-point or greater lead in 35 tournament games and is 35-0.
Wow.
And so for all that we talk about Cal's tournament struggles, it's not this type of game. It's not we were up big and blew it. You know what I mean? It is that we either
inexplicably didn't dominate.
Right. Inexplicably didn't dominate, let a bad team keep it close, or like the Memphis game had a 4-point lead in the final seconds of the national championship game, lost, those types of things. I do think that I think Cal did a great job with Arkansas, and I think this was a great season. I also think that I'm not going to say the kids blew it because I never do that with college athletes. They did blow it. They were up 13, and they're up 6 with 1:20, had secured a rebound, and the jump ball's called. It was a quick jump ball that's called.
He kind of lost.
Right, and it's the old college basketball possession arrow. It's Tech ball. Tech bangs a 3. But Tech usually, when a team executes a big comeback, if you hit one shot to stem the tide, that kills it. Tech had cut it all the way to 3. Arkansas got the ball, missed a shot, got the rebound, hit a 3 to put them back up 6 with like 1:40. I thought the game was over there. I'm like, okay, they averted disaster to end up losing and then losing in overtime the way they did. I'm not going to kill Cal, but that's a brutal one. That's a brutal one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.